Hello, and thank you for watching. My name is Bradford Roberts, Principal Broker, Founder, and Owner of TR Realty in the Las Vegas area. After watching this video, please be sure to like it as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download the pertinent handouts for this video by clicking the link in the comments below. Now let's get started. This video is entitled Class 4 Seller Excellence. This segment is entitled Protecting Commission. Broker consent on commission is not required at TR Realty. We are a flat fee company. You're welcome to go out and charge your customer accordingly. You don't have to ask for my permission. Now, I'd like to give you my recommended commission. Recommended. This is not our company policy. It is just my suggestion. If you're going to list a residential property, I think you should charge 6%. A commercial property, 8%, and on a courtesy listing, which is a rental listing, I think you should charge 1 month's rent. And then typically, we divide that, doesn't have to be right down the middle, but typically we divide that with the broker that brings the buyer or the tenant. We cannot talk about other companies' commissions. We can't say something like this. Red and white company charges X percent, gold and white company charges X percent, black and gold company charges X percent, therefore we charge the same X percent. That's actually price fixing and a violation of federal law. You can talk about what you do. You can say, my commission is 6%. You can talk about TR Realty all day long, but you cannot compare your commission to another company. That is price fixing. You know, it is difficult to get agents to show properties where the commission that you offer is less than average or less than what we consider standard in this industry. Statistics show that the commission paid often has an effect on the sales price. Let's take a look at the word percentage. Because when we talk about 6% or 7%, everyone is focused on the 6 or the 7. But I want to bring your attention to the word percent, because a percentage means a part of something else. And if we're talking about 6% of something, the 6% is really a small part compared to the other 94% of that equation, isn't it? So often, a higher listing commission means a higher co-op commission being offered to the buyer's broker. And if we can offer more commission, we're going to get more activity. I know that real estate agents are not supposed to do it, but the truth is they look at commission all day long. They look at which properties are offering 3% versus 2.5% or versus 2%. And I know that a lot of sellers think that they're saving money by hammering us down on commission. But the truth is, even though they might be saving a few pennies on the commission, chances are they're losing a few dollars on the sale price. And since the sale price is the large part of the equation, the commission is the small part of the equation, it's a pretty foolish strategy in my opinion. Having said that, there are agents all over the place who are willing to cut their commission. That's their problem, okay? Value is different than price, trust me. When people are willing to discount their commission, there's usually a reason for that. Nobody knows the value of your service better than you. So if you're willing to charge less, you're probably worth less. But people are comparing numbers. When I was selling real estate and people would ask me what I charged, listen carefully to how I responded. I told prospective sellers that I charge 3% for listing the property, and I highly recommend that they offer another 3% to whoever brings the buyer. Listen to what I said. I charge 3%, okay? Etched in stone, non-negotiable. And I highly recommend you offer another 3%. My 3, their 3. There's the 6, right? To whoever brings the buyer. Could be me. So there's a reason I phrased it that way. People are comparing the numbers. So if there's any room to negotiate, to hammer us down on the commission, it would be on the cooperating commission, because my listing side of 3% is etched in stone. And this is one of the reasons I recommend that we pre-fill our commission before we go out on the listing appointment. Not in person. We don't take a pen and write the commission on the listing agreement in front of the customer. It is pre-filled, it is typed in, it is not handwritten at all. Now, I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the total commission, let's say 6% as an example, is usually divided, but it doesn't have to be divided down the middle. So I'd like to talk about how we can use that cooperating commission to our advantage. Folks, there are times that I went out and I took a 6% listing, and I was able to take 3.5% or 4% or even more for myself, and then offer the balance of that to the cooperating broker. And some of you might be thinking, whoa, this guy is greedy. Okay, hold on. Before you come to any judgments or conclusions, let's talk about strategy. There were times that I was lucky enough or smart enough, depending on how you look at it, to get an incredibly valuable listing. Maybe there was a community where there were no listings available. Agents were clamoring. They had buyers lined up. I was able to get a listing. Isn't this an opportunity for me to benefit from my success and keep a little bit more of the commission? I knew full well that if I offered 2%, 1.5%, maybe a fresh, clean $10 bill to a buyer's agent, I would have sold that property in no time flat. But folks, again, before you judge, there's just as many times that I took a 6% listing and I offered 3.5%, 4%, in some cases even 5% out of 6 to the cooperating broker. Why would I do that? Well, maybe there's a glut of inventory. Maybe I knew that my listing was not priced correctly. Maybe the listing was in difficult condition. And in order to attract attention, knowing that agents look at commission, I would offer more commission to the cooperating broker. Sometimes agents come to me and they say, Brad, my listing has been sitting. I'm 4 months into a 6-month listing agreement. I don't know what to do. I'm not getting any attention. Well, one of my suggestions is going to be to change the commission split and to go up to 3.5%, go up to 4% if you have to, as a cooperating commission for the sole reason of driving more traffic to the property. And folks, as long as the seller is on board with this strategy, the law does not say anything about how the commission has to be divided, only that it has to be disclosed. I also want to mention, if during the time the property is in escrow means under contract, if the commission is going to change now, we have to effectuate the document known as Change in Cooperative Compensation Agreement. One more time. This is the title of the document. You can find it in Transaction Desk. Change in Cooperative Compensation Agreement. Now, some of you might be thinking, why would the commission change once we have the property in escrow? Let me give you a scenario. What if we have a contract on a property for X amount of money and the appraisal comes in low? And the seller says, I'm willing to cut the price of this property to match the appraisal so that we can move forward on this transaction, but I can't pay the real estate commission that I originally intended to pay. So I'm willing to cut the price if the brokers are willing to cut their commission as well. That is one scenario that happens quite a bit in real estate, where our customers ask us to accept a lower commission because they're accepting a lower price for the property. I'm not saying that we should be doing that, but if that happens, we have to effectuate the Change in Cooperative Compensation Agreement. But you know, all the talk in this segment about commission, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about the fact that if your seller is hung up on talking about commission all the time with you, you have most likely failed to prove yourself. You know, ostensibly what we want is we want to go out and we want to talk to a seller and we want to exude such confidence. We want to gain the trust and respect of the seller all the way to the point that the commission almost becomes irrelevant. In other words, they are so determined, they're so sold on us that they're willing to pay us the commission that we're asking for without an argument or a debate. That's where I like to be on my listing appointments. I want to share with you what I believe is the number one reason the seller will not sign the listing agreement with you today. It is not commission. It is not because they have other agents they wish to meet. The number one reason, in my opinion, a seller will not sign a listing agreement with you today is confusion. Folks, we are not selling a couple of hot dogs here. This is somebody's home. This is where they sleep. This is their children's school district. This is their favorite pharmacy down the corner and their favorite neighborhood restaurants, their friends who live across the street. This is their life. Selling your home is something that you only do a few times in your entire lifetime. It's complicated, it's stressful, it's nerve-wracking, it's tedious, and it really gives most people pause. So, my opinion, when we go on a listing appointment, put the damn contracts away. Paperwork is scary. It's not time for that yet anyway. We need to work on our relationship with the seller. One of the ways that we build a relationship with the seller is by bonding with the seller. And we bond by asking them questions, and we get involved in their lives. Specifically, where are they going? Why are they selling? You don't sell your house because you feel like it. There's a reason. Something is going on. A birth, a death, a marriage, a divorce, immigration situation, a job transfer. Something is going on for the vast majority of people who decide to put their property on the market. Now, for you as a real estate professional, when you go out there and you talk about listing a home, what the seller hears is that they need to hand you the keys and go live under a bridge. They think listing the home is the same thing as selling the home. And this is scary. Where are they going to go? Do they have the funds available to go put a deposit on another home before they sell this one? Or do they need the funds from this transaction to buy their next home? Are they going to rent? Are they going to stay with relatives? Are they moving out of the city? Are they moving out of the country? Can they afford to carry two homes at the same time? Should they sell and then maybe lease back their current property so then they have time to go look around? Folks, this is very, very complicated. And if you can adequately address this confusion that the vast majority of people have, you will greatly improve your chances of getting your listing agreement signed today. So, I want to share with you a strategy that I used when I sold real estate that worked incredibly well for me. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just sharing with you something that I did that, quite frankly, put a lot of money in my pocket over the years. Keeping in mind, confusion is the number one reason they won't sign with you today. People get nervous, they don't know where they're going, they think they're going to be living out in their car somewhere. I would talk to my prospective sellers about the benefits of working with me to also find their new home for them. In other words, I'm not just going to be a real estate agent who works in a vacuum, sells your home, and puts you out in the street. I'm going to be the real estate agent who facilitates your move. I'm going to work with you on the sale of this property. I'm also going to work with you to get you into your next property. And when I addressed that issue, that strategy with my sellers, again, my chances of success with that listing appointment went through the roof. So I had a little strategy that I used. I would talk to the customers about the benefits of using me for the entire move, and then I would say to them, and as a token of my appreciation to you, if you're willing to entrust me not only with the sale of your current property, with facilitating your move into the new property as well, I am prepared to offer you some help for your relocation expenses. In fact, I'm willing to offer you 1% of the sale price of the lower of the two properties. Listen to that, 1% of the sale price of the lower of the two. So as an example, if they're selling a house for $200,000 and they're buying a house for $300,000, that would be $2,000 that I would be willing to contribute to their moving expenses. Let me finish my thought here, because I would offer them that 1% of the lower of the two transactions at the second close of escrow. What some real estate agents do is if they talk to the seller about working two transactions, I'm going to sell your home, I'm going to put you in another home. If the seller somehow agrees, which is usually verbal, the real estate agent foolishly will cut the listing commission based on that based on that promise, okay? They will cut the listing commission. Folks, what happens if that second transaction never occurs? What if they tell you today, yes, I'm going to buy a house with you, you sign a discount listing agreement, next week they decide they're moving to Fairbanks, Alaska. Now you've cut your listing commission based on the promise of a second transaction that never comes to fruition. So I didn't do that. So let me say the strategy one more time. 1% of the lower of the two at the second close of escrow. Meaning, if there was no second close of escrow, there was no credit from me whatsoever. I did not discount my listing commission. And I'd like to bring your attention back to the clause library, clause 4.02, which says, listing broker agrees to credit, and it has to be the broker, right? Agents can't credit commission. Listing broker agrees to credit to seller 1% of the sale price of either the listing or the purchase, whichever is less, upon and as a condition of the second successful close of escrow. So now you understand the backstory on that language, and I will leave you with this thought. Folks, where do you think would be the most brilliant place you could put that clause in writing? Because I would always say to my seller, to show you that I'm a man of my word, I will put that in writing for you. The most brilliant place you could put it in writing is on the buyer brokerage agreement, the BBA. And folks, now, when I walked out of a listing appointment, not only did I have a listing agreement, I had a buyer brokerage agreement as well. 2 exclusive, legally binding contracts. I was the king of the mountain. I would like to thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative for you. If you are licensed with another brokerage in Southern Nevada and would like to talk with me, please text me or visit our website. See you next time.